Hello and welcome to the 2020 LCS Spring Championship Final. I am Dash, joined by Crumbs, Mark Z, and Kobe for what promises to be an incredible best of five between the two teams that remain standing in the 2020 Spring Split. Gentlemen, we've made it all the way here, but I want to take a moment, I think, to appreciate the Herculean effort by so many people that it took to bring the LCS to this point where we can still be celebrating the best of the best on this day and our promised and incredible and competitive best of five.
I honestly cannot imagine how the last month would have been without this, and I get to work on it and be a part of it. And so hopefully, you know, fans and stuff also have a similar feeling of like, there's something on to watch or something I care about still going on, and hopefully we're providing people a lot of good entertainment.
Without a doubt. And Kobe, I think, you know, when you look at this historically, just what a time for esports to, in a sense, almost come full circle, right? Where, you know, in a lot of ways, the at-home was where esports began. And a number of years later, yes, we've got a ton of tech behind this, and it's definitely leveled up. But there's a bit of nostalgia that comes with being in this situation again and being able to celebrate from our bedrooms the highest tier of play.
Never forget your roots, Dash. Don't forget where you came from, because it's going to come in handy one day. And it's actually good that, yeah, we still have that like primal esports knowledge ready to pull out in cases where we really need it.
Damn right. Crumbs, go ahead.
I think it extends to the players too, because you used to start your tournaments online. You didn't have LAN, so the fact that it happens online or LAN doesn't actually affect the value that it means to these players. So this is going to be an all-out finals for sure, because Cloud9 still hasn't gotten that win.
Let's get into it then. A reminder that after the new champion is crowned, stick around for the LCS after party, where Y2K and Sushi Dragon will be delivering a wild experience to wrap up the split. We were kind of waxing and waning yesterday. I'm excited for both performances. In particular, Sushi Dragon always comes out with some wild stuff.
I mean, just look at his
He's a
face
genius.
right there. He's got fire coming out of his mouth and lasers out of the eyes.
That's a good preview.
That's a very accurate preview. You get what you pay for there. Now, State Farm has allowed us to award one final assist of the day for a truly noble cause that quite honestly doesn't get enough light shed on it in this day and age. And that would be the movement of hashtag Cat for Kobe. for just one tweet with hashtag Cat for Kobe, you can put our poor analyst one step closer to finally getting that cat. Kobe, you look quite at home with that feline fellow on your shoulders. What kind of a cat you looking at? Well, what would be the go-to
I
for the new
haven't
furry
even
friend?
gotten to the step of what kind of cat, because Travis has been so hard on the no cat that I need to get to step one first before I decide what kind.
I got a recommendation. One.
Okay.
Russian blues, really smart and hypoallergenic. So even though the fur might be really fluffy, it doesn't get anywhere, and even if you're allergic, you don't feel it.
I know the allergies was a concern there, particularly with maybe
Crumbs
Double
solved it.
coming over to visit and stuff. So Crumbs might have the answer.
My dad was allergic to cats, brutally allergic, would never touch one. Same thing happened to my mom. She had cats, couldn't do it. Came to visit me, this hypoallergenic cat, could play with it, nothing happened. Allergies, gone.
I want to see two things trending today. Hashtag LCS and hashtag Cat for Kobe. So get on it, friends. Social media, bombard Travis Gafford with those tweets. But let's go ahead and take a look at how Cloud9 and FlyQuest got here by taking one more look at our bracket. Of course, these are the only two teams that remain, but they had to do battle against a whole slew of opponents to get to this point. Evil Geniuses taking down FlyQuest the first time around, but falling short the second. Meanwhile, Cloud9 has had to run through the top layer of that bracket to be the final boss here, and FlyQuest, playing more games than any in the postseason, has returned here to their first ever final appearance for the organization.
I mean, this is a U-shape. You know, they start in the top bracket, drop down, then slowly rise back up through 5 best of 5s. That's so many compared to, you know, what playoffs used to have, where you would get 3 at most. So FlyQuest has a ton of postseason experience.
And I think they've benefited from all the hard work that they've put in to make that U-shape come full circle. The team is looking better than ever.
Yeah. The team is looking better than ever, and they'll need to look better than ever considering their opponents are Cloud9, one of the teams looking like the most dominant we've ever had in the history of the LCS, only dropping 2 games all season long, 1 in the regular season, 1 in the postseason, with only 3 more wins to lock it up for the title. It seemed all but fated in the regular season that Cloud9 would end up here, but I want to take another look at how exactly they did it and secured their spot in the finals.
but Meteos is able to finally grab a kill here for 100 Thieves on the top side. Nisqy looking to chase even further. Good God!
2-for-1 deal.
At the very end of the Battle Star, buy one, get one free. Triple kill for Nisqy. Throw another one in the shopping cart just because he likes the way he makes it happen. 100 Thieves will take that summoner spell as the true shot barrage strikes Vulcan. Drake slain by 100 Thieves. Ocean Soul prevented. TP's coming in. Licorice into the middle of 4, and that is a disastrous encounter for 100 Thieves. Stunt will be the second to fall. Ryoma's clone will join him. It's a 2-for-0.
Jizuke gonna be in a fight 2-on-1. A lot of damage over there. The spell joke.
Oh my God.
Hey, Blaber, you gotta be kidding me. Gets a kill 1v2. Flash to the wall of safety.
This has gotta
coming to the backhand side. Kumo double knockup. Gonna look for number 3. Nice flash.
Dead.
Oh, Licorice takes him down. FLICKR can certainly try to damage his old teammate, but it's not gonna be enough.
Licorice has no flash. Jizuke has his.
He's gonna burn flash for the play. EQ, one more auto will kill him. No,
Oh,
he gets
man.
hit. One more kill. He needs to get the spell. He doesn't have mana. You gotta be freaking kidding me. Blaber's there to stop down Jizuke. 4, now 5 strong. Here comes the re-engage for Cloud9. 1-for-0 already. Bang is gone. They're gonna hope to get away. They can't get it. The road warp
God.
down in time. Floodlight Ace, absolute slaughter. Bit of CC towards Vulcan, and here comes Nisqy, and he wants to play. They're gonna bring back Zeyzal, stopwatch, usables of Caskets 4, but no way out for the Braum. 1-for-0 Cloud9's favor. And this means C9 will fight full power. Going for the play into Zeyzal. Equalizer going to force Bang to flash away as Vulcan front line. Jizuke tries for the play, can't get much done. Licorice still holding the front side. Zeyzal running low on health. Bang is going to drop to the flame spitter. Nisqy's already on the board of this one. It's a 5v4 chase down. Kumo burns the flash. The next slow will guarantee he dies. It's all right. My life for ire. I'll drop. You can kill me, but maybe FLICKR will live. He's waiting over the wings. Vulcan knows he's there. Can't find the hook, but can he find the steal? Has to jump over the wall. There is now no chance to take away the Elder Dragon. This will go Cloud9's way. They will now knock down FLICKR as well. He's going to drop. That's the killing spree for Nisqy. Cloud9, 18-9. Elder Dragon buff on. They're ready to end the game.
Dominance from split start to where we are now, looking to make it from split start to split end, this Cloud9 squad. Not the first ever to go 17-1 in the regular split, but Crumbs, is this the most dominant team we've ever had in the LCS?
Absolutely. The fact that every other team, they're even scared to practice Cloud9 just speaks to how far away they have been from the rest of the competition. Because sometimes when you have a really good team, you get smashed so hard, you're not even learning from losing to them. And so Cloud9 got so far ahead of the competition that it really felt like it was a one-horse race and everybody else just scrambling. But if anything, the fact that FlyQuest has so many games is the only thing that I think counts for them to have a shot against how dominating this Cloud9 team was. No one else stomps this hard, not even the Immortals lineup that we had before.
I was going to say, it's wonderful to have stomped the regular season, but Kobe, we kind of all know that that means nothing if you don't end up taking the title at the end of it all. People look at that Immortals split, and it is quite tarnished by the postseason performance. And this roster of Cloud9, they're looking to join the echelons of post-LCS winners.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know all of the players, the organization as well. This split is like a class where 80% of your grade is the final, because it's been 6 years since they won a championship. None of these players have gotten to lift the trophy. They need this win. They want it so bad to finish off this season.
Yeah, Mark, while Cloud9, the organization, has won the LCS title twice before, it has been, as Kobe mentioned, 6 years since that point, and none of the current players on that roster are title holders. So, again, this is quite an undertaking.
Yeah, I mean, you see all the other champions that have come since they won, and it's a lot of Double Lift, it's a lot of Team Liquid, it's a lot of TSM. What's off-screen in a lot of these is C9 usually, kind of in the background, having been defeated. They've made the finals a number of times since their last victory, but they've always come up short. And so that's why it's such an exciting combination of this historic North American organization who has just barely fallen out of favor domestically. They still do great internationally, but now with a bunch of players who haven't won North America before and they put on such a dominating performance, it's the perfect culmination for them to finally get that trophy back in C9's hands.
It's really interesting because Reaper is the one that remains from the times where Cloud9 got so far. And so this is somewhat like a project where you have to come up with a win with a lineup that is completely new, and it worked for the Academy team. It's working for this team. So I think this just speaks really well to the coaching staff of Cloud9 finally getting their act together and just proving that investing in infrastructure early on pays off in the long run, and this is where that payoff starting to come in.
Yeah, top down for that organization. I had the distinct pleasure of talking to Jack this week on the queue, rewinding all the way to his TSM days before even purchasing that original Cloud9 roster that would carry him to his first LCS title. And then the whole restructuring and reframing and understanding the importance of infrastructure. As you just said, Crumbs, it feels like Cloud9 was one of the first organizations to really jump on that train and invest heavily. And it may have taken 6 years. As we've seen, they've come so close yet so far, as Mark said, second place in a number of splits. But now the fruits of their labor are finally starting to bear in what is looking like it could be one of the most dominant runs in LCS history.
I think the cool thing about why those fruits are starting to be harvested, or whatever the saying would be, is if you have a new player, where would you send him to develop him? The answer is the same for everyone. I think you send them to Cloud9.
Absolutely. And speaking of some of those young players and how much they've leveled up, we're going to gather the thoughts from today's casters in just a few. But before we do, it's important to remember the caliber of players competing today. In particular, Spring Split's Honda MVP.
And with the 9th pick of the North American Scouting Grounds draft, Cloud9 selects Blabberfish 2.
Blaber, sitting behind one of the best players in all of the LCS. Now he's got big shoes to fill with a starting spot.
I will run, I will rise, I will grow. I will climb to the place I belong. I will fight like the world's never known. Like the world's never known.
Blaber's found the Sonic. Resonating strike. Good lord, man. Shelly is stolen.
And here comes the re-engage. The kick blast just to guarantee it. This poor top 10. Kick back with the Warthog. Nicely played by Blaber.
Doesn't matter if the game didn't happen. He's going in. Oh!
Through the smoke, through the ash, through the flame. And it burns like a fire in my veins.
Shuffle just short on Blaber.
In the end, you remember my name.
Blaber.
Damn, Blaber.
Here comes the Pantheon. This is how aggressive this combination can be. Unstoppable hit back line goes Blaber. Make it a double kill. Make it a soul on top. The damage is there. They are gone.
Blaber plays this Gragas so aggressively.
Flash on the wall, hold backwards. They have the follow through.
He is such an aggressive player.
Blaber starts things off. The ult, there's your wombo, there's your combo. Blaber goes over the wall, and he is unstoppable.
He's not back here. Sion says, "What's up?"
Oh my God! You gotta be kidding me, Blaber!
Feels super good to finally be able to start in the LCS.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Castle Desks. My name is David Freak Turley, and I'm with the man, the myth, the legend, Joshua Jat Leesman. We want to spend some time talking about the mid jungle because Cloud9 not only have the Honda MVP, but the runner-up as well in Nisqy.
Yeah, first off, good to be chatting with you, Freak. But these two have both been incredible. They were actually first and second in the MVP voting. And in these selected stats, holy crap. Like, first in their role for KDA, K plus A at 15, which is kills and assists at 15 minutes. Forward percentage, the percentage of time you spend beyond the halfway point on the map. Gold, damage, difference from their opponent. They have completely run over the LCS, which is why I think it is well-deserved that they were 1 and 2 in MVP voting. Both of these guys have a symbiotic relationship where they work extremely well together to find these exceptional results.
All right, they've each credited each other for a lot of their prowess this year, but there's no mistaking this is the best mid-jungle duo in the league. There are no questions of that. but their opponents are, of course, Santorin and PowerOfEvil, who themselves were the number 3 all-pro jungler and mid laner, like very strong players themselves. They might be the second, or, pessimistically, only third best mid jungle duo in the league, and they're here to fight them.
I mean, I think at this point, in terms of making it all the way through the playoffs, these guys are second place. When Cloud9 had the opportunity to pick between 100 Thieves and FlyQuest for their first round playoffs opponent, they opted out of picking 100 Thieves, and I think in large part, and picked 100 Thieves in large part because PoE and Santorin are on FlyQuest, and I'm not saying that they're going to match Blaber and Nisqy because that seems impossible for the LCS this split, but if someone was going to do it, these would be my pick for the people that could challenge them on a really good day.
Yeah, and I'm curious if it's going to be a really good day for FlyQuest. The sun is shining, the trees are blooming, it is spring. We'll see if they have sprung into action in time today. That's what we're looking at here in this Best of 5 series. For now, back to you, Dash.
Thank you very much, Freak. The sun is shining, the trees are blooming, and I have some breaking news. I just received word, gentlemen, that we have achieved trending status for #CatForKobe.
Well,
I just wanted to put
minutes?
one more. It only took about 5 minutes. We have an incredible audience, an incredibly passionate and supportive audience, might I add. So let's keep that one going. #LCS, #CatForKobe, as we turn our attention back towards this finals day. It's important to remember that while Cloud9's run this split has already been, in a lot of ways, historic, it has still been 6 years since the org has earned the title. And just to give y'all a sense of what that looks like, here is the state of League of Legends, the game, the last time that Cloud9 picked up a win. There were only 118 champions in the game at this point, and Vel'Koz was the most recently released, alongside these other crazy statistics.
Yeah, I mean, Bjergsen was still racking up MVPs back then.
2014 MVP.
Yeah, he just showed up in the league. He was 17 at the time, I believe, because he was just eligible the year before to play in what was then still called the EU LCS. LEC didn't exist yet. So a lot of things were different. No crazy beard on Bjergsen, just baby-faced.
And
Just
for-
babyface
My
Bjergsen.
favorite is the skin line, because before that, no one really knew what was happening. You won Worlds, like, okay, what happens? But now, the fact that those came out, you get a sense of being immortalized in the game, and that makes the esports so much cooler. I really loved when that SKT line came out.
And for
And who
reference,
knew?
we have
Kobe won 2014 spring.
We have a.
Did you guys?
Yeah, I'm in
Who
there.
Yeah, he's in there. Kobe won.
I was gonna say though, for the champions, for reference, we have 148 now. So it's actually ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I love that you pointed out to the skin line crumbs being immortalized in the game. FLICKR 3 times over now at this point. Some more context. This is where some of these Cloud9 players and coaches were 6 years ago as well. So, I mean, again, just the growth of these young players. Blaber not eligible to play at that time for how young he was.
Clearly.
He's like 13 in that photo. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
no, I'm looking at Vulcan. Like, is that like what is in front of him?
Is that a pie?
It's
or-
pie. I think it's a pie. Right?
Okay.
He looks like a
it's gonna be
blackberry,
a rock.
Yeah.
mixed berry pie. He's very excited about it. That's all I know.
I gotta say the Licorice one is super relatable because that was me and my friends in high school and college, just laptops next to each other, gaming away.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have been in that position. So
Yeah, that was probably Licorice's first split or year playing League of Legends, in which he told me like it took him like 2 months to get like Diamond 1, which is
Yeah, me too.
ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. He was also a mid laner too, which was interesting before swapping out of it. But it's not only us who are fired up about this finals. The teams themselves have been quite fired up. You take one look at social, and I love the back and forth. It's always nice to see a little bit of jibs and jabs, some fun banter and trash talk being thrown. Cloud9 never afraid to throw the first shot, it seems, and in the past it's come back to bite them almost, but this time around they're feeling quite confident.
It comes back to bite them, but they always have the way out where the person who tweeted this
Gets
got
fired.
Yeah, it's no longer working here, so I expect
This
more
tweet is out of
fire.
line.
Yep. Oh my goodness. But I love it. With Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest having a back and forth before their series yesterday, Cloud9 decided to jump in, throw the trump card. Doesn't matter. You guys are going to be fighting to see who loses to us anyway the next day. For Solo, it's all about that revenge tour. We know that him individually coming in so late in the split, what a story for an individual now finding himself in an LCS final, only playing 3 games of the regular split.
2 months ago teamless, sitting, at home waiting for a call, and now you're in the finals. Like, that is such an insane storyline for solo to go from grinding solo queue, waiting for your next opportunity, to like, oh, here's my next opportunity. It's to potentially take down what's the most dominant North American team of all time in the finals. That is a hell of an opportunity. Yeah.
It is quite an opportunity. Cloud9 there in another tweet as well, claiming that this is going to be the fastest domestic best of 5 in history. That would be a feat, considering we've had a couple quick ones here in the past.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say back to Cloud9 though? That's why all these Cloud9 jabs, you're like, oh yeah, what's the response? And everyone's like, all right, well, they destroyed us the whole season, so I guess you can say what you want to say.
I fully support punching down. Go for it,
My goodness, Mark. All right. Well, Kobe, you posed the question. What do you say to a team like Cloud9 that has dominated all split long? I've got good news for you. I challenged one of our 2 analysts here on the other side of the screen with coming up with that win condition, that response to Cloud9. Yesterday's do-it-yourself win conditions were such a hit, the MS Paint versions, that we decided to bring them back today. So Kobe and I will be attempting to figure out what our analysts, Pictionary style, are saying the win conditions should be for the teams, and we're going to start with Crumbs, FlyQuest. How do they take down the behemoths in Cloud9? Let's see it.
All right, brace yourselves. This
I don't
is
know what
art.
to expect. He's self-proclaiming it's art. Here it is.
Oh my God.
Oh
There's a
my
lot going
goodness. This is so much more complex than yesterday's.
Okay,
So, Kobe, you take the first crack.
Let's start with Cloud9. He's got Reapered, and there's a steam cooker, and then a red
pressure.
button. Okay, so he's under pressure, so he's panicking and hitting the red button.
Okay.
FlyQuest
Okay,
the ball.
So he wants a high pressure draft. I think what he's saying is Reaper is going to draft a high pressure draft, so really early focus. They're going to hit that button right out the gate, right? So they're just going to come swinging with the emergency flail button essentially right out the gate. For FlyQuest, it just looks like spice, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting. A bunch of chili peppers. He wants spice left and right here.
Look at this! Look at this recipe at the bottom, though. There's like a cake, pickaxe, cheese. Okay, so you need some cheese. You have to get creative with building something.
Okay.
Add
I
in
like
ardent
Powerpuff
sensor.
Girls. Professor X,
and then
like the X
ardent
chemical
sensor.
from a
Chemical X from Powerpuff Girls. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then that equals a trophy. So some kind of special sauce. Get radiation exposure. Well, I'm trying to figure out how the ardent sensor fits in.
What about the middle, guys?
Yeah, I mean, the
'Cause then
middle's
it's a
clear.
cheesecake.
That's the easy to understand part. Is the middle? It's
You cheese them.
yeah. It's the middle is them dunking on the mid jungle duo.
There you
PoE
go.
and Santorin
Okay.
here about the.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, so FlyQuest mid jungle duo has to dumpster. I like how that's a picture of Stixay and not PowerOfEvil, which is interesting.
there is one thing you guys did kind of mess up. So it's Reapered with Cloud9 under pressure. It's the pressure cooker, and then dropping the ball. So Cloud9 needs to drop
it's a ball.
Oh, it looks like he's pressing a button.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought
And
it was
then
a button.
The recipe, it's a counter and a pick. So counter pick plus cheese, and then use maybe the Lulu Jana that we just saw in LEC. Now we just saw it there, but it's thriving in solo queue right now, so it could be a big curveball. And then the X factor is just you need X factor. You're not
All right, this actually,
Wow.
You pulled
This
together.
is very complex and well thought out. Okay, all right. We got the win condition for FlyQuest. Mark, you've got Cloud9. What's it going to be?
I think mine's just as complicated.
Just as?
Yeah,
Let's
take a
find
look.
out.
Show up. Mike is saying they have to
Show
play.
up. Oh my goodness. You know what though? What I appreciate is that he had different hairstyles. He could have in typical Mark fashion, I would have expected to draw one stick figure and copy paste. He drew 5 individual stick figures and gave them all haircuts.
I think his scale is a little off though. Maybe you don't have the social distancing in there, so
That's
I don't know.
true.
I'll give you half credit, Mark. Good attempt.
Yeah, Sven should be a lot taller now that you mention it. He should be towering over the setup.
Okay.
True.
All right, so it's show up versus the most complex win condition I've ever seen in my life.
Show up is underselling it a little bit. They've already done all the hard work, right? Like they've been so good all split long. They've put all the effort in. You just got to treat it like another day. Just show up, I guess.
Fair enough. All right, well, I think from here we've got nowhere left to go than our predictions for the day. And I'm going to come to you, Kobe, first. With these very insightful win conditions in mind, maybe you were swayed one way or the other. I don't know. Let's lay it it out there for the fans at home. Who's taking the best of 5 and will name themselves LCS Spring Champions, Cloud9 or FlyQuest?
Honestly, Mark's simple and easy to understand win conditions really swayed me at the end. So I'm going 3-1 for Cloud9. I given one game to FlyQuest to keep it interesting here. But
yeah,
that's what. Yeah,
where's your graphic, Kobe?
I messed it up.
How do you mess it up? Someone builds these for us.
My graphic has turned into 3-1.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Well, there it is. So Kobe calls the Cloud9 victory following the easy to follow footsteps from Mark's gameplay. Mark, who do you call?
I'm giving it the good old 3-0 for C9. I think they'll crush.
3-0.
Yeah, I think what we've seen out of FlyQuest has been really impressive in recent weeks. But I think there's just too many power points on the map for C9 for them to be able to contest all of them. Maybe if they can actually win mid-jungle 2v2, they can win the game if IgNar's also playing well. But that just feels so hard to do because we've seen C9 lose mid-jungle 2v2 and still win games. So you have to continue to outperform them, which is really hard to do, and why I give it the 3-0.
Still calling a very favored matchup for Cloud9. Crumbs, you were the man who laid down the plan for FlyQuest. Do you think that they have what it takes to follow that to victory?
Well, listen, all evidence everywhere points to Cloud9 winning. So if you want to believe in FlyQuest winning, you're the kind of person that likes to believe in conspiracy theories. When all evidence points one way, you want to go the opposite way. Unfortunately, that's not me, so I'm going to go with Cloud9 going close, though, because I actually do think that Cloud9 said, here's why, though. Cloud9 said they would expect to go in a 5-game best of series against Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses got bopped by FlyQuest, so if they thought EG would be close, why wouldn't FlyQuest be close as well? So I think it's going to be much closer than anticipated, and I'm just going with C9 because all the evidence says C9.
Okay, that interesting. I want to explore that a little bit more. Understanding that you're taking just some word from Cloud9 themselves saying they expected a close series out of one opponent, and
they dodged FlyQuest at the beginning of playoffs as well. So that's the thing that Jazz been really focusing on as well. So I think there's a lot going on there. FlyQuest was the second best team at the very beginning of the split, and they ended up at the finals as well. So this is a strong team.
And so where are those 2 wins coming from primarily? I mean, I know you laid out that very complex win condition, but do you think it's that jungle mid duo specifically for FlyQuest that will net them the 2 victories?
I think the reality is you have to fight fire with fire. Like, you're not going to be able to avoid what Cloud9 is bringing you. So you need to stay with the initiative and make sure that you have a stronger 2v2. You're going to start the first game on red side. So if you start red side, you have a way to have a good counter pick, whether it's for a jungle or a mid or whatever you want. Play around that and see if a stronger matchup can translate to a 2v2 win. Because if you don't beat Nisqy Blaber, how do you beat Cloud9? Like, you have to strike where they are strong.
Okay.
The one
go ahead, Mark.
I'll throw in is we've talked about IgNar all split long with his unique counter picks. Vulcan is really good, and I mentioned it before, but he did underperform once in their loss to TSM in the regular season. Maybe if you can find some way to make him uncomfortable in the laning phase and set him behind, that's another avenue to attack.
I was going to say, because even beating Blaber and Nisqy, you're still looking at 3 other members on the map for Cloud9 that presumably then are still performing well. Kobe, how many players on Cloud9 do you have to individually beat before you even have a chance of beating the team holistically?
Spoiler, James, you have to beat the whole team when you're
all 5?
All 5 players
shocker.
to win the game. Honestly, though, I do think that it is possible for them to get victories, right? Because Turtle and IgNar have been playing very well. I think a lot better than the rest of the season recently. And it has to do with how many games that they have played. They've already played just as many games in playoffs here as the regular season, and it's been an upward trajectory. So I think they have the right plan. And my suggestion for the mid jungle would actually just be to neutralize the Blaber and Nisqy offensive moves for PowerOfEvil, because he has been able to scale up into an absolute monster every single game. His damage per minute numbers are by far the highest in the entire league.
Well, sometimes when things feel the most certain is when we all have to strap in and get ready for a surprise. FlyQuest looking to do that today, stun the world and taking down the number 1 seeded Cloud9. With that, it's my cue to roll us over into the MasterCard opening ceremony.
Sash, he is down. He is shut down.
What is he doing? Welcome to the LCS Spring Finals!
Welcome to the 2020 Spring Finals. For the first time since 2017, a new champion will be named. Today, two teams share one common goal: to be crowned the Kings, FlyQuest and Cloud9. After being written off as a team that is only there to plant trees and smile wide, we have a roster that has already delivered 2 upset wins and now aims to soar away with the title. FlyQuest, starting in the top lane, holding his own after a late split swap. Solo, making his first final since 2015 and third All-Pro jungler. Santorin, All-Pro mid laner and bringing the firepower for FlyQuest. PowerOfEvil, the core of FlyQuest and biggest smile in the LCS. It's WildTurtle. Behind him, the explosive engager in support, IgNar. This is your FlyQuest starting roster. An absolute juggernaut, whose dedication to improvement and domination have brought them back to the final with eyes set on their first title in 6 years. It's Cloud9. In the top lane, first All-Pro top laner and leader for the new era of Cloud9, Licorice. In his first split as the sole starting jungler, he earns the title of Honda MVP, Blaber. Unmatched all split long in his role, making back-to-back finals, Nisqy. Bouncing back under a new organization and returning to the finals, it's Zven. In the bot lane, the support prodigy himself, Vulcan. It's your 17-1 Cloud9. Let's get ready for your 2020 Spring Final. Cloud9 versus FlyQuest.
Thank you again to MasterCard for that opening ceremony, and welcome once again to the caster desk. We are about ready to get into the games. I am Freak. To my side is Jat, and we will see an LCS champion be crowned today.
We really will, and I feel like it's just kind of sinking in for me watching the whole countdown and watching that opening ceremony that this is the finals and what we've been doing for the past 3 months, and especially for the past month going to this remote broadcast, is culminating in something really meaningful. I mean, we have Cloud9, who, if they go undefeated, will end with the highest win percentage across regular season and playoffs in LCS history. Or if FlyQuest pulls up this upset, it would be one of the biggest shockers in LCS history, becoming the 5th organization to actually win a final. So it's going to be really exciting, Freak, and I can't wait.
It's going to be an absolutely exciting best of 5. We are at a champion select here. Of course, Cloud9 with the high seed, gonna choose blue side here. And I am very curious what it looks like, because as you mentioned, Cloud9 have been just the most dominant team, and everything should tell you that Cloud9 are gonna be heads and shoulders above the competition. And yet, seeing FlyQuest get better with the roster swap, seeing that they beat EG as well as Cloud9 did, there's a part of me that can't let go of the fact that maybe FlyQuest has closed the gap, and on the right day, they could take this series. As we get into the got 5 bands in, and I am curious what kind of compositions take shape here.
Yeah, I think I've watched enough sports to know that even when there's an overwhelming favorite, nothing is certain. So always waiting to see what the actual results are. Just yesterday, we did see FlyQuest on red side in 3 drafts in a row against EG. The Senna ban is actually the only thing that stays consistent for them. So things that they banned yesterday that aren't banned here today are things like the Sett, which Cloud9 are currently hovering, and also either LeBlanc or Aphelios. There are so many power picks still up available, and the power picks are what's getting taken early on in this draft. Aphelios and Sett, not banned, picked.
Yeah, I find it quite interesting that Sett and Ornn were traded right away. FlyQuest leaving that 3rd pick available for something else. They said, no, we'll grab the Ornn. We'll wait to react. Cloud9 have locked in their entire bottom lane already with Misfortune Nautilus. That can be very aggressive. I, in most matches, expect that to win 2-on-2 against Aphelios plus whatever. And so I'm curious if FlyQuest rush pick a good defensive support that can keep WildTurtle safe, or if they go somewhere else without the chance at a ban. And it's going to be Pantheon locked in, so an aggressive, likely jungler can flex mid. I think if even seen it support as well. But FlyQuest have locked in their first 3. Cloud9 have locked in their first 3 as well, which is our cue to send our ESPN audience to a quick commercial break. We'll see you when the game starts.
And in terms of what's been banned in the second phase right now, Olaf being taken out because it does look to me like FlyQuest is signaling Pantheon jungle, even though you know that that can be put as support. I wonder, Cloud9's considering here whether or not they wanted to ban away the kind of Guardian-style supports like the Braum or maybe even the Thresh, things that could have kept Aphelios safe. I think they would have had to use both bans on that if they actually wanted to deny that access point for FlyQuest, and have instead decided to focus their bans more towards PowerOfEvil. I think that's smart. I think we identified during the pre-show that the mid-jungle for both of these teams is the strong point, so even if there is potential draft vulnerability to attack bottom lane, Cloud9's not falling for it. They're keeping focused on the mid lane champions, LeBlanc and Kassadin, banned away.
Right, because of course mid lane can be very volatile. You've got Pantheon, who is just a supreme jungler right now, with FlyQuest throwing 2 more jungle bans. They're expecting to have the edge in that matchup. Add to that the fact that PowerOfEvil gets counterpick in the mid lane. I think you come into this draft at this point almost expecting FlyQuest to have the better comp for mid jungle. They grab the Azir right now, seeing the Kassadin and LeBlanc ban. We might see them farm off back and forth. The Corki could always come in for Nisqy here, or maybe we see something a little bit spicier. We've seen a Veigar before, for example.
Yeah, so Veigar can work well into Azir because the cage range syncs up very well with Azir's soldier range, so it can make the Azir a little bit more vulnerable. I think overall, though, Azir has been trending upwards in priority, and it is a little surprising that we saw a Kassadin ban before we saw an Azir ban, which makes me completely okay with FlyQuest not waiting for an Azir counterpick. We saw over in the LEC finals, Azir actually trended all the way into first pick by the end of that series, so really high priority lately on the Azir.
And we're going to see more priority on marksman junglers here as well. We saw EG play a bunch of those during their unfortunate loss to FlyQuest. Cloud9 picking right up where Sven left off. It's like they can switch junglers here, as the Kindred's going to come through for Blaber here as well. Of course, we know he's good at the champion. Should be a lot of fun to watch for, and I do think with Sett, Nautilus, and Veigar, they've got enough crowd control to set up for a second marksman. Yeah,
and IgNar's going with Blitz again.
Nice.
Because why not? Right? Why go with something like Thresh or even Braum? IgNar needs to be on a playmaker. When he's played this pick so far in the playoffs, it has been very successful. It's actually his second most played support, flat out, in the spring split. This is going to be his 6th Blitzcrank game, including playoffs. So that's more so like Hook Hunter for Kindred or for Veigar, like in the mid game, specifically in pulling people out of the Kindred ultimate. There's a lot of displacement that FlyQuest has put into this overall team composition. So even though Blaber's been a great Kindred, this is a tricky game to navigate for Cloud9.
Yeah. There's actually several good counter picks here for Blitzcrank. You mentioned the Kindred, which is obviously a very, very good one. Whether on Kindred or someone else, you yoink them out of the ulti. Hey, guess what? You can kill them now. But also keep in mind that as of about a year ago, Blitzcrank ult kills shields. And Sett's, I would argue, primary tank stat is in popping his W and getting about half his max health, up to half his max health in a big shield, which you one-shot, deal damage afterwards, and suddenly that Sett can be killed. Nautilus has some minor shielding as well, so there's actually quite a lot of value here that IgNar can easily put forth in this game. It's going to be very exciting to watch what happens here. I like the FlyQuest draft. PoE is on, I think, the epitome of teamfight mages and should be able to put up potentially another 1,000 damage per minute game like he's done several times so far in the postseason, and we're ready to go here. This one, it's going to be really exciting.
And fancy addition here for the finals is we got the player cams showing their remote setup, so even more mimicking of kind of the live viewing environment. But yeah, Freak, the early game here is going to be really interesting because I want to know what Santorin can activate here in the early game. Something that's been most impressive to me in the playoffs on Blaber is actually some of his Nocturne early game paths, because he's been able to pick junglers who are disadvantaged in the early game, but through where he paths, get gold and experience advantages and not let the other jungler take over. So Pantheon is just such a monster from kind of level 3 onwards in terms of early gank pressure. Let's pay attention to the early wards and really where Blaber and Santorin go.
Okay, going to be watching the jungle pathing, especially for the first 3 minutes or so in this game. So far, it's the docile start. You've got fairly defensive wards on each side. IgNar picking up where he left off, really, in yesterday's games where he tried to pressure mid at level 1, see if he can get it. Okay, puts a ward down, that'll track some of Blaber's pathing, and then, all right, we're going to let Nisqy go. No jungle camps to leash, a safe walk down to the bottom lane, and we'll see the Pantheon get his red buff to start. We're going to see Kindred get their blue to start. Fairly similar opening paths.
Yeah, I really want to point out that a lot of times Pantheon can take a very popular Pantheon path is actually wolves and then into the red side of his jungle. Santorin has just done a red buff start, so it will throw a few things off in terms of what Blaber might be expecting. Also, really pay attention to where Santorin goes at 3 minutes. I think he's probably the most frequent 3-minute ganker of all LCS players, so generally, that gank goes mid. With how defensive Nisqy is playing, probably not. So Zven and Vulcan need to be ready around 3 minutes to see if Santorin is going that way, because that's kind of where his path is taking him.
Right, if you look at how the mid lane is going right now, keep in mind it was hard shoved by PoE in the first 2 waves, so now it's bouncing back. Unless PowerOfEvil hard shoves this, it will go to the red side of the map and potentially force Nisqy to have to overextend to fight for farm, so we may see the lane, even if he doesn't want to, go into a spot where Nisqy could be ganked. As bot lane's shoving in for the Cloud9 side, they're feeling safe. You get that trinket ward in the brush off to the left of the screen. They know they're safe from Pantheon ganks early on. The shove will be no problem. 17 out of 19 CS the first few waves. We'll see how close WildTurtle can get.
Yeah, overall, really like the way C9's been playing that initial early game. Really good wards on that side. Really good roam into the river by Vulcan as well, because that would be where Santorin would be waiting if he was planning a gank bottom. And it just allows Blaber to get a 5-camp clear early on. Has to watch out at the Scuttle Crab, though. I think he may have been expecting Santorin to be elsewhere, because he's not going to get anything done by being in the river here.
Yeah, gets nothing done right there. IgNar had already roamed over, and actually, this is a recall that could be stopped. He knows, right? So easy hook.
Yeah, well, the hook would
not
maybe
gonna go
mean
for
IgNar dies. So
yeah, fair. I would have done it and then lost most of my health bar and lost bot lane for Turtle, and it would have been my fault.
Got the
It would have been support difference, but man, stopping that recall is so tempting. End of the day, though, it's Santorin getting both scuttles. So even though Blaber did get the mark to spawn the bottom one, regardless, he loses both anyway. Takes his first recall. To be fair, Santorin has not done that yet, so Santorin up a camp, up in vision. Well, Blaber, though, at least will have faster farming, and goes back to clear top side.
Yeah, nice control ward as well to spot out the ward that Santorin was just able to place. But so overall, Blaber keeping up. Santorin hasn't necessarily taken something over yet, and the game is yet to break open. One thing that I want to touch on quickly here in terms of why this matchup can be exciting is how much better FlyQuest has looked since adding solo. And for those of you who haven't necessarily been following Solo, he's a player who didn't have a team in the offseason and signed with FlyQuest as an assistant coach halfway through the split to then be thrust into the starter position kind of right before playoffs and has played the vast majority of playoff games for this team. It's just been almost like this storybook split for Solo, and now going up against Licorice. I was reading in some of the threads yesterday, people are really hyped to see Solo versus Licorice because of how powerful Solo has looked as an individual top laner. So just wanted to call out how impressive that story has been, and it would be just even more ridiculous if he was able to somehow pull off an upset today.
Yeah, I mean, Solo is the only player on FlyQuest who has not been in some kind of important final already. He made Challenger Series finals a few years ago, but realistically, right, this is his best, at least, placement performance of all time.
Yeah.
And you look at his stats as well throughout the LCS, and he's actually played more than 18 games at this point, so he's played essentially a full season of games, and he's second or third in most stats overall. So Solo has absolutely been a standout performer in the sort of last half of the split, and it is part of the reason why, you know, my brain says, well, but maybe FlyQuest has a chance here. It is his top lane matching up maybe to what Licorice can offer. As we look at the early laning phases, of course, Licorice is slightly up in farm on the Sett with a wave pushed in, the chance of roaming over, but he's going to go ahead and take his recall. Top lane right now fairly equal with, of course, teamfight prowess very strong on an Ornn.
Yeah, and C9 has to respect the power of Santorin's Pantheon right now. This could be a kill.
Oh, that is so much damage. Blaber flash, the flash follow, and there is first blood 6 minutes in. Vulcan gets away to safety, but Santorin strikes first in the final.
And here's the red flag that was thrown up in C9's draft is the fact that if Pantheon gets on Kindred and Kindred doesn't have ultimate, it's over. That was obviously IgNar landing the hook, but it was Santorin's burst from Pantheon that was able to finish that off. And FlyQuest take double scuttle at the start of the game. Blaber doesn't get an experience advantage on Santorin, and then IgNar's roam strikes first. This, at least for the first 6.5 minutes, has been business as usual for FlyQuest's early game with what they've done to other teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, very impressive stuff right now to FlyQuest. If we take a look at this fight yet again, it's just a great hook off the ward.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to scatter off that control ward because they knew a Blitzcrank was going to be coming. Didn't reaction flash the hook, thought maybe you'd be able to sidestep it, but especially when near terrain, that's Blitzcrank's favorite place for you to be because it doesn't give you any path to juke. The only way that Blaber could have avoided that hook, based on the path he took, would have been with flash.
Now, I want to take a look at the other parts of the map real quick as Nisqy's being handed the blue buff. Nice play by Blaber. There's the Q, there's the pickup. Though Cloud9 are winning in the bot lane to the tune of 12 to 13 CS, which is very impressive. Mid lane is going as lopsided for PowerOfEvil. And Nisqy's leveling up, he's getting the Q stacks, that's all nice, but like, Veigar is balanced around the fact that he gets free ability power through his Q. That doesn't belie the gold lead that exists in this game. So this is FlyQuest doing a very good job with the early game. Good job in the jungle, great job in mid. And if Solo is safe up here on the top side, which he is, he'll catch up in top lane farm as well.
Yeah, and I think with Blaber doing his best to stay competitive in the farm game, he's unable to help set up any types of dives that would otherwise happen around a powerful solo lane set. So what's interesting about this game is I feel like C9 has drafted themselves advantages in the top and the bottom lane, but because Kindred can't safely invade the jungle of FlyQuest due to the power of Pantheon, they can't convert on any of those side lane advantages, which is kind of why the game is so low in kills. Just Blaber can't move where he normally would like to move thanks to Santorin.
And right now, Santorin's moving where he wants to, which is the top side for this Rift Herald. Cloud9 are roaming over. Vulcan's here, but it's a 4 versus 3 in favor of FlyQuest. That said, as Vulcan Zven shows up at the 4v4, and this time around Solo, oh, that is a hook, and that is burst damage. The ult comes down for Blaber in time, jumps from the wall, he's going to stay in the ring for some healing, and that's going to be able to keep him alive. Here comes the Ornn. Smite's going to go through the Cloud9, they claim that, but IgNar's going to walk up for a kill, can't find it. Cloud9, by the slimmest of margins, keep Blaber alive and steal the Rift Herald.
Yeah, narrowly avoiding disaster, actually, because they roamed up 5 people. If Blaber would have died there, it would have been really bad. It's also dangerous to Rift Herald swap against an Aphelios because he can actually kill your turret so quickly. This play's not over yet. C9 wants to Rift top, but FlyQuest is pressuring them off of it.
And we actually want to point out LS and Doublelift were talking yesterday during the championship qualifier match, talking about, what is a Rift Herald worth? And Doublelift said that if you get a wave and a turret plate, or sorry, it's 2 waves and a turret plate, that is better than Rift Herald, just outright, because that is roughly the EV of a Rift Herald in the first place. That is roughly what WildTurtle got in the bottom lane. That bot lane turret is down to only 3 plates left, and that first wave crashed to the turret before Licorice got down there. So Cloud9 paid the cost of what they're expecting to get back with this Herald charge.
Right. Well, now it depends on what the Herald will end up giving them, because Rift Herald charge in isolation kills 2 plates. And as you mentioned, that's exactly what he got before then. But the extra special thing about Rift Herald is it can do true damage, which if it is able to actually crack the first turret and give you that first turret bonus, that's when the Rift Herald can become more valuable than the extra wave that WildTurtle may have picked up on the bottom side. Because overall, Licorice teleported down to catch the wave. Zven actually shoved out top wave. The CS advantage, which was previously about 10 or 15, has now moved to about 3, but will bounce back, assuming Zven can pick up this wave and doesn't die to some hype IgNar play. So we really just have to pay attention to where C9 uses this Rift Herald. If they can get a kill onto the Flash, the Solo, it could be first turret.
Flash used for it. Solo's going to run around as fast as he can, but he's now on the wrong side of the map. Not possible to live. Blaber's got the mark. They're going to find the kill, and Cloud9 finally on the board in the final. Gets the gold lead back to only 800. They're ready to charge top.
Yeah, and what they want to do here is they would love to get the first 3 plates burned or 2.5 plates burned before dropping Rift, but they have to be very careful for Pantheon Ultimate. Look at the minimap. Santorin is coming, PoE is coming. If C9 try and greed for this turret, they might get jumped on.
Yep. Okay, plate number 2 is going to die, and Herald will get the next 2, but PoE wants to go for the play as fast as he can. Here comes the play. Here comes the dive. 2-on-2 flash from Blaber. They're focusing him down. It's a lot of burst. A quick stun for Licorice, and they're going to burn down Santorin. Blaber was still unable to put a 1-for-1 with the rest of the gold they got there. Is still a great play for Cloud9.
And he saves the turret, though. So, Freak, this has been so neck and neck. Overall, if we're talking strictly Herald play, yeah, C9 got a little bit more than the plates down bottom, but that was such a heroic rescue play by FlyQuest, and let's pay attention to where the gold is going. PoE caught that wave. PoE got the kill. He's now 114 CS, 1 kill, Azir. And watching this one more time, the margins are razor thin. Of course, they burst the Kindred because right now that is the highest DPS character. Blaber does get the kill first, but what FlyQuest cares about is gold on PowerOfEvil and still not having that turret go all the way down right now because the plate is still extra gold until 14 minutes, and they still have hope of getting the first turret of the game.
And over the wall he goes, looking at this Drake right now. Solo is going to spot it out, but keep in mind Kindred can very easily jump back over the wall. Gonna burn Q until the W drops. That's going to be the last low cooldown jump. So Blaber is now going to hold on to that button, right? Knows he's flashless, knows he has to hold on to that jump just in case something happens. Gets the smite, jumps over the wall, clean take on the second Drake of the game. So we're at least 15 minutes away from Dragon Soul if either team takes Mount from the game right now. Great hook down there for us. The flash of the Vulcan. May just live, but may just not. The anchor backwards, and the ignite is not enough. Vulcan just barely gets away with his life and actually comes out ahead in Summoners.
Man, I'm really loving the first 13 minutes of this game because of how much FlyQuest is willing to go for. Normally, you think Blitzcrank lands that hook over the wall, he gets Vulcan's flash for it, play over. But they went for it. They were extremely close to being able to pick up that kill. Now they missed, so it's going to hurt them, and Vulcan's just going to reset with flash anyway, but I love the mentality. They're looking to dive top now after getting the Vulcan recall.
Nice flash by Nisqy. 1v3 gets away from it. Santorin puts up the shield and gets away, but that is still at least only burning a flash 5 of 1v3 is good play. Want to point out 1,200 gold lead in mid lane as the Observer switched over. PowerOfEvil is massivly ahead down there. Turtle's also about 300 to 400 gold up above Zven. So that is where the gold lies on FlyQuest's side, and those are the optimal 2 champions to have the gold lead. For Cloud9, it's the other 3 lanes.
Yeah, and just to touch back on what the expectations were coming into the series, many people thought this was just going to be a complete 3-0. It still could be, depending on what happens, but I think what we're seeing now is just the competitiveness of an early game of an important series. Like, C9 has not won that title since 2014, and maybe there's a little bit of hesitancy with the way they're going. They got to find their footing in this game, and that's a big pick.
Oh, goodbye. That is flashless IgNar. He burned it to chase down Vulcan and didn't convince the kill to come over. Now a flash to the bottom side. So much crowd control. Licorice going to come with the punch back, but he's still running low on health and just simply is not going to get away. But he will set up for his mid laner. Nisqy gets on the board with his first kill of the game. We'll have to kite back from Solo. That TP is burned to make it a 1-for-1.
Really important pickup for Nisqy there, seeing as you just mentioned how much gold he was behind PoE earlier. The fact that Nisqy was able to live through that 3-man dive up top and then also pick up a kill by teleporting in will keep him relevant in the gold game. Now, look at that. The gold has been closed to 300 difference between the Veigar and the Azir in the mid lane. So Cloud9 looks like they're starting to find their footing a little bit. Actually moves off the Rift Herald to go for this Azir.
Okay, Blaber's going to get knocked back. He's going to build some time, but he's still been slowed, and Licorice is on the run. Vulcan's here as well. Zven over the top. PoE has flash. He's got cleanse as well. Jumps away, brings up a soldier, stays alive. Yeah, Nisqy donated solo first turret as well as that kill from Licorice. Has closed that gap somewhat, but still has to play a bit of defense here against Solo as the wave's pushed in, and Nisqy will do his best to clear the wave.
All right, so now that they've pushed PoE off of the top lane, it appears that Blaber can go and take the Rift Herald as Solo is getting some solo gold in the bot lane. So really close game right now, and the things that we're going to have to track moving into this next dragon fight, which will be in about 2 minutes, is can IgNar catch anyone with his Blitzcrank hooks? If FlyQuest doesn't get the right setup for a lot of these team fights, I think it's going to be relatively difficult for them to win. They have so many pick tools, but if they have to start navigating around event horizons, now that Nisqy has the Glacial Augment and the GLP, just the immense amount of team fight control that can provide, it'll be difficult. So let's see if FlyQuest can get some of the early setup and get picks onto either the Kindred, Veigar, or Misfortune.
Yeah, worth pointing out, no Mercury treads on the FlyQuest side, so no one's got tenacity for that nearly max rank stun coming out of Nisqy. He's only a couple levels away from that being all the way to rank 5. And yeah, it's navigating around it, and if he lands it on you, say goodbye to 2 seconds of doing anything. And yeah, that makes life incredibly difficult. So Cloud9 have moved their dual lane to the mid lane. FlyQuest have done the same. WildTurtle can be fairly safe back here. Infinity Edge plus Boots, Double Dagger. He's going to feel really comfortable in these team fights. The Misfortune's going to feel pretty comfortable as well. And again, you mentioned the Hextech GLP being done. Of course, Nashes for PowerOfEvil has plenty of team fight damage. And I want to see now, as 30 seconds comes in till the Ocean Drake spawns, that is right now FlyQuest controlling the side of the map. They've got control wards down, they've got a sweeper, they've got this river lit up.
C9 still has Rift, so they might look to pressure with Rift Herald for something, but they find Turtle.
That is so much damage. The anchor into the ultimate. Nothing could have been done unless he flashed the Q, and that is optimal timing. Cloud9 going to get that kill. They'll get the wave. The Blitz question mark emote comes out. Who is the better hook champion now? I love the swag from Vulcan. And they're first going to stay to get that charge going down the mid lane, but then turn it around. Ultra charge. All right, down to 1/3 HP, and immediately they can say that they can go for the Drake right now. It's 5v4. Turtle can't fight. If they wanted it, they can go for it, but they're staying for mid.
You can see the disappointment on FlyQuest faces right now after WildTurtle getting picked off. This is a questionable fight with no AD carry, but they're going anyway. Missed the hook.
They saw Nisqy was bot lane. They're going to go back here for this one. Vulcan gets the aftershock on, goes in towards Solo. He's going to run back. Big burst. Going to get him down, and they will. They will knock down Blaber. Then trade back to Santorin. It's jungler for jungler. Now Vulcan's getting low. One more auto would kill, but he gets out of range. Nisqy on the way back up the lane. Same for WildTurtle. Again, it's a 1-for-1, a trade of jungle kills. Nisqy is now here, and he's the guy with the big health bar. Finds a stun on Solo. That is not the optimal target. Simply kites away as IgNar zones him out with a threat of a hook.
FlyQuest might actually get this dragon because C9 opted to pick up more farm on Nisqy rather than staying 5 strong to go for the Drake. And even after the big mistake by WildTurtle is punished, getting hit by that Vulcan hook at the start of the fight, the net cost to FlyQuest is relatively low. PoE now, Nasher's completed, still highest CS in the game, 2 Drakes for FlyQuest, Ocean Soul on the table if they're able to pick up 2 more. They recovered after what could have been a demoralizing, tilting play. Now, they don't actually land their initiation here in any sense of the word, but on the re-engage, they managed to pick up something big. Stun into silence on Blaber, so he can't get his Kindred ultimate off. I think that's what C9 would have been counting on. And then C9 just straight up has to retreat.
Yeah, and even as they got Nisqy back, it was, as you mentioned, FlyQuest stepping around it. Only Solo got tagged by the Event Horizon stun, which meant the rest of the team could be a threat. And there was no re-engage for C9 even after they pulled the mid laner over. So taking a look at the game yet again, we'll point out that as turrets have fallen, as far as been accrued, it is a 1,500 gold lead for Cloud9. So they have turned the corner in that regard, doing a bit less than their average early game, generally speaking. But as we've been pointing out, FlyQuest are up to that second Drake. They are only 9 minutes away from an Ocean Soul, which is one of the most highly prized and could be a very big factor in this game.
Yeah, overall, FlyQuest has definitely been pushed a little bit to their back foot. And now that Nisqy has his second Glacial Augment item with the Twin Shadows to go with his GLP, C9 will be looking for picks of their own. So anytime we look to group around mid, which is kind of what's happening right now, WildTurtle has to really watch out. And FlyQuest jumped the gun. They're going earlier. They can get Zven.
Going for the play, and they've knocked down one already. Here comes the re-engage, and it's a 4v4 because PoE cannot join the fight, so IgNar is dead, and into the back line goes Licorice. The chase down's gonna look good.
You gotta run.
Flash, Licorice does the same. There is a slow on Solo, and he can try to get away. The health bar is big, but he's not nimble enough. Cloud9 lose the AD carry, but they take the same 4v4 we saw a second ago, just in the inverse, and they win it.
Yeah, definitely some mixed calls coming from FlyQuest there. I understand why they went for the play, because they see that Zven is pushed up, that there is no flash on him, and they think they can burst him out. But PowerOfEvil, the guy who does 35% of the team's damage on average, which is more damage than anyone else does for any team, is not there. So yes, FlyQuest was able to kill Zven, but then they had nothing left, and C9 could chase them down with what was still a numbers advantage even after Zven died. So overall, C9 actually wins that play despite their AD carry dying at the start of it.
And the long-term ramifications are that turrets are traded. We saw PowerOfEvil stay in the top lane. He knocked down the outer turret. Not long after, Licorice did the same down in the bottom lane, and we still have this 2,000 gold lead. To be fair, it's actually grown somewhat because, of course, yes, they won the team fight. Yes, they got more kills, they got more money in the pockets, and so Cloud9 are getting farther ahead in this game. We're seeing the more standard build of the raw attack damage version of Kindred, where it's Warrior into Black Cleaver, as opposed to the more attack speed, potentially crit builds that you can sometimes see. It's what we saw coming out of Svenskeren as well. So we're going to craft a new item. He's got that, first big power spike, right? Level 13. Finished Sunfire Cape upgraded, finished Abyssal Mask upgrade. So that's the first big power spike in for the Ornn. We'll see if that team fight sort of prowess can matter. But for now, tank stats have not been the important part of Ornn. He's been tanky enough for all his purposes. It's been the rest of the team being able to hold up.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that Solo has those upgraded items is important, but definitely not one of those things that will decide the game. I think in terms of what can be game deciding, it's how much are PowerOfEvil and WildTurtle going to be able to free fire in team fights, and how much disruption can C9 put on their backline. Because if we just look at raw damage output, a late game Azir and a late game Aphelios, I don't know if there's a combo that can do more. I've seen some really ridiculous things with late game Aphelios who are able to stand and fire. Now, with that being said, FlyQuest doesn't really have peel. This isn't a Janna or a Lulu or even a Tom Kench able to protect him. This is a Blitzcrank who has no protection skills whatsoever. So I think it's going to be really difficult for WildTurtle to play these fights, even if he has a bunch of damage of his own.
Vulcan attempts to play into IgNar. They're both going to miss the hooks, though. And regardless, we know this Drake is spawning in 20 seconds, and I don't think Cloud9 can realistically give away third Drake and think that that's going to be a good choice. So it's both teams coming down to this side of the river. It is FlyQuest trying to step up, the Cloud9 trying to do the same. Nice bit of damage trade as Vulcan goes in a half HP. Well done by WildTurtle. Puts down another turret. That's more things. Here comes the hook. Here comes the play already. The touch, the backline. PowerOfEvil is not.
They got Azir.
1-for-1 so far, and Santorin's in a bad spot. He's going to try to flash away. Stays alive for now. WildTurtle free-fires for a bit of time, finds the root, and it's again a 1-for-1. You trade out Vulcan for PowerOfEvil, though. That is a lead Cloud9 will take.
Absolutely. PowerOfEvil was the richest person in the game. 260 CS and 2 kills. Being able to kill him at the start of the fight means C9 can walk down to take the Drake. PoE dies with flash up. Would have to see exactly what happened one more time, because while FlyQuest was looking to choke down into that river funnel, it just didn't work out for them when PoE goes down.
Yeah, huge deal right there. He got the ulti up, but not enough to save him, so that is second Drake picked up for Cloud9. They immediately scatter around the map and grab some more objectives. They get top scuttle, they get some more waves. Licorice can fight solo. This is not going to be very difficult for him, but you can see the gold lead growing a little bit, and that Drake at 2-2 means Cloud9 are edging closer to winning this game.
Still such an entertaining game one, and here's that pick potential from Nisqy. Twin Shadows don't slow IgNar quite enough to be able to get the stun, but you can see even just a small contest in the river can be punished by this Veigar. It doesn't matter that he's down 50 CS in terms of how important it is for him to be able to land that CC.
And Vulcan's going to run on the map and get rid of some wards. They kind of, looks like both teams are aware that Baron is probably next up on the list. As Cloud9 crest 25 minutes in with pretty decided map control. I feel like their item spikes are pretty good across the board. 2 full items plus a stopwatch for Licorice. As you mentioned, both of the important slowing items are done here for Nisqy. Zven's got 75% crit chance. That's awesome for Misfortune. He's ready to go on that champ. I can see C9 trying to find themselves a team fight.
I think so as well, and PowerOfEvil will be working towards Rabadon's death cap. That will be the next big power spike for FlyQuest. They need the death cap to be completed on the Azir, and they need Solo to hit level 15 so he can then upgrade that death cap. And that will, I think, put FlyQuest in a more competitive space, just item-wise. But the bigger thing that's going to decide this game is the positioning in the team fights, and as we keep saying, whether or not PoE and WildTurtle can have space to auto-attack. Licorice is making it so difficult for them to do stuff when you're layering in all this other CC from the Veigar and the Nautilus. And so far, even though it's been a very close game, C9 has been higher execution in the team fights.
Yes, they have 9-6 in kills. Those fights have gone better. The hook's not going to land. The stun certainly will. Will it knock down Vulcan? Not just yet. Finds a backline stun. Damage on Santorin. Gets taken down. And Blaber still on the chase. Gets pushed back. Oh, barely gets back into the ultimate. Here comes Event Horizon. Here comes re-engage. Huge damage from PoE, but it's not going to be enough. Turtle is going to get punched to death, and Zven is free firing as well. FlyQuest can try to find the kill onto Blaber. Solo gets a bit close, but it's easily a 4-for-2, and Cloud9, they have the life steal. They're going to walk right into the Baron pit to claim this objective.
And that fight was so well fought by C9. This is one of the reasons that they have only dropped 2 games of 25 that they've played all year, is not only do you have to beat them in draft or in strategy, you also have to be able to out-punch them in team fights. And right there, the look from FlyQuest was pretty good. The fact that they had the numbers advantage in the river, but when C9 decided to turn, boy, did they turn. The hook goes wide. I think IgNar was actually hoping to snag Blaber. Watch the timing on this Kindred ultimate. So Santorin goes down to the bullet time, and then as soon as he goes, he sneaks right back into his Kindred ultimate, delaying everything. The Veigar cage just kind of stun locks people within, and then as Turtle is hoping to just narrowly finish off Blaber, hey, he stepped too far. All of his damage is dead, and he has no appeal for that Aphelios. It doesn't matter how much damage you do if you're dead. So that is the fight where C9 break the game open.
And yeah, as you mentioned, they're really breaking the game open. This feels really comfortable now for Cloud9's side. They've got the Baron buff on for a solid 2 minutes. We expect, I'm going to guess 3 turrets fall at least during the Baron buff, maybe an inhibitor as well. The Drake, I think, goes without mentioning. Cloud9 going to move around. They have pushed in the mid lane, but that got cleared. They're pushing down to the bottom lane. Licorice Shepherd's in that wave. PoE will try some wave clear, but you can see Zven chunks that turret heavily every single auto attack, and is one that they have a little bit of time to attack with. They should knock this turret down before too terribly long. wave gets cleared, but they, for now, are going to respect the Blitzcrank. They're playing back and forth across the jungle instead, getting rid of the vision, allowing them to walk back and forth to roam to mid if needed.
Yeah, and basically, every time C9 gets away from the turret, they're going to put a Veigar cage right around where you saw it placed the last time. That's going to allow Zven to get an auto attack or two off. Then when the Veigar cage goes down, they're going to back up because that would be FlyQuest's window to re-engage. So you can see cage goes up, C9 backs off, they get a few shots in, and now C9 will reset until they can do that again.
And they're going to walk up to the top side. Now, Blaber could be a little bit close. IgNar might look for a hook. This actually almost could have landed. He was dangerously close to range on that one. Without flashing Kindred, that theoretically could have turned into a kill. But you saw the play, right? Spooky Ghost caps from out of range. Blaber pops the W, gets the circle under the turret, but not in aggro range himself. And then as the team backs up, C9 walks in. You mentioned the cage. That comes down. No re-engage possible. There's turret number 1. There's Drake picked up. Still a minute left on the Baron buff. Mid lane tier 2, dangerously close to dead. But right now, C9 not pushing super duper fast, but they are still staying up on the map. Then pushed in bot lane. They find a stun. That is big damage. The ult, he's not, I think he was slightly out of range, maybe, but either way, it might not have been enough damage to kill IgNar. That's turret number 2 dead. 30 seconds left on Baron. They're walking top side.
Yeah, there's the level 16 power of Veigar coming in. If he completes a death cap, then maybe that would have actually been enough damage to kill IgNar. And I agree, he was out of range for the ultimate finisher. And I think if Nisqy had flash, that's the type of play you'd actually see him flashing over the wall to try and finish. But for now, it is C9 in a pretty good space in terms of the overall game state. It will still be a task to close out this game. They have to break the base. They have to likely get at least one more big team fight, whether that's around Baron, which will be spawning in 3 minutes, or Ocean Drake, which will be spawning in 4. But overall, I think they found their footing, and this is looking like the dominant C9 we've seen through the entire 2020 season.
Yeah, if you tuned in after the first 15 minutes and, oh, it's the exact Cloud9 game I expect, where they're better in teamfights, they're up in gold, they've got all the control, look at them go. It was the first 15 where FlyQuest really did contest them. That has changed since then. The mid game obviously got very explosive. We always knew that Cloud9 had incredible early game stats. They were truly, truly phenomenal in the first 15, but they've also managed to always convert that. A question I saw asked was legitimately, look, Cloud9 could win from ahead. Can they win from behind? They had a moderately sized deficit early on in the game, and it looked like nothing was different.
Oh man, IgNar, he had an opportunity there to turn the game. He's actually missed far more hooks than we're used to seeing from his Blitzcrank, so going to be thinking about this game if they end up losing it moving into game 2, and whether or not going back to the Blitzcrank is a good idea, because he's had plenty of looks and fairly few conversions. They're going for Licorice.
Well, they're going to keep going for this one, though. Licorice has forced to burn his flash. They're going to flash follow this one.
They're
really trying for this kill. IgNar needs to land the hook. It's the ulti to get the touch back in. There's the punch. It buys some time, and bullet time drops him low. Licorice will still fall. Is this a fight that Cloud9 wants? They find a knockup on the Vulcan. The cage comes down for not doing too much. C9 actually probably going to turn tail and run. They dealt damage, but could not find a kill. Licorice drops, and FlyQuest do a little something to breathe life into their wings.
Hey, pick up kills where you can, but that was a scary one. Jumping onto a Sett when he's able to land that full haymaker, and the whole while, you know all of C9 is just barreling down to try and find FlyQuest. FlyQuest do it, though, and now they're going for more. Blaber's trying to farm.
He's going through wards to do this. Solo shows up, and yeah, good choice of pathing. Gets over 2 walls. You're not going to chase him down anymore. I appreciate the attempt, though, right? FlyQuest, I think, have the right idea. If that's a kill, that's map control, especially with Licorice still dead. This time around, though, C9 will be able to let their teammates respawn. Mid-outer even will be defended as Cloud9 are there to knock down the wave.
So one thing that has really hurt FlyQuest in these team fights is Santorin being so squishy. It is generally his style where he will play for the early game and then really defer to the team in the late game. It's one of the reasons PoE has so much power, but he really needs a Guardian Angel. And from his inventory item, okay, there we go. He got it. Yeah, I was saying he should take a little bit more farm because he's been sitting on these components forever. This is huge that he has this Guardian Angel now, because it allows him to probably get one more stun off in a team fight, and it will also buy a lot of space while he's in that revive if they are to have a chance in this fight. Baron's up. IgNar is going to be looking for another hook. Let's watch it.
All right, here we go. The dive backwards for Solo. Blaber's going to try for some damage. Going to walk back out of that one. And now we can see yet again what's going to happen in this game is Cloud9 simply shoves down. You get nice pictures of Licorice and Solo. Don't mind what you saw earlier. No one looked down. It's fine. FlyQuest just playing defense.
Yeah. This is how they always look.
And we know Ocean Soul spawns in 35 seconds. That is Cloud9 probably stacking that one up. I expect FlyQuest have to fight over this one. I don't think you want to weather a 6,000 gold deficit and Ocean Soul when you've got very limited healing reduction on the squad. Okay, Turtle has some of that, but it's still a tough one.
How do you move into this space
more slowing.
with Veigar Cage on such a low cooldown at this stage in the game? Look at how tightly they have to funnel just to get that spot, and they have no vision. This is going to be an uphill battle for FlyQuest.
Vulcan front lines. He'll pop Stone Plate when he can. He's dropped so dangerously low, and Kindred comes down as well. Pee Wee make the big play, and it's 2 kills picked up. That's huge for FlyQuest. How about the re-engage? They've already picked up 1. It's now back to a 4v3, and Cloud9 looking to go forward. Zven flashes away, trades his life. Nisqy's in the middle of 3. That's going to be him dropping. FlyQuest may have turned the corner, but Nisqy found a kill on Turtle the last second. He got a spell off. I think his W fell on top of Turtle and he didn't see it. And that suddenly means so much. Now it's only 2-on-1 instead of 3-on-1. That can't go Baron. They can't go Drake. It's a TP back to bot side. Licorice wants to stop the chance at a dragon, but it's not being
He's going to take it himself. He's got Blade of the Rune King. He might be able to rush this dragon down if he goes for it. He delayed about 5 seconds. Is he just going to wait? Okay.
I think he was looking for, is someone waiting in the brush? Is someone boarded? No? Okay, let's try.
I think he had the window to take that Ocean Drake on his own. This is some indecision from Licorice coming in, but oh my goodness, Freak. WildTurtle dying to that dark matter at the end of the fight is game-changing. That could have been FlyQuest getting Baron and maybe even Ocean Drake, because they finally found a fight where PoE and Turtle could get damage off. I'm going to watch that replay later because we don't have time for it now. Everyone's respawning and running back here. C9's just going to start up the Drake and force FlyQuest to come in. They don't have Ornn yet.
Dragon fight to Electric Boogaloo, go for the battle right away, but Aphelios is nowhere nearby. The smite is easy, and here comes the engage. This looks Cloud9 favored, and it certainly is. Quick 2 for 0, not a problem at all. That single spell from Nisqy meant a huge difference. Cloud9 players and 1 spell victory defeat in finals. I've seen it before. This time around it's Nisqy, and he does it correctly. That means they can run right to Baron 5v3.
It used to be the sneaky W. This was the Nisqy W, and it's game saving. I'm also not even 100% sure it was the W. I need to see the fight again. It seems like this is it, though. With them being able to pick up the Ocean Soul, having Santorin dead, no steal to be had unless Turtle got a miracle steal, which he does not. Now, 7,000 gold, Ocean Soul, Baron. C9 will likely group up for what could be a final push.
I'm expecting it to be at this point. For what it's worth, the gold lead has flattened. It has remained about 6,000. That is credit to FlyQuest for that first good team fit where they got a bunch of shutdown gold. But the game state lies to about 6,000 gold lead. That is an Ocean Soul and a Baron buff.
All right, so this is going to be the failed steal attempt by Santorin after that nutty fight we saw in the mid lane. And it's just a wash for C9. FlyQuest, just because of the death timers of Turtle, like the fact that he actually died at the very end of that fight, meant he couldn't be there, and because Nisqy had teleport, he was also able to get there much faster.
Right. But it seemed like, unless I misread that was Turtle and PowerOfEvil nowhere nearby. They were on top of each other running out from the base. FlyQuest, realistically, just shouldn't be there. Yes, Ocean Soul sucks, but you never win that fight 3v5, especially when you know Nisqy can teleport in. So either way, it's now Cloud9 going in. Nice alley-oop right there, pulls in Solo, gonna jump backwards, he'll stay alive. Ult's gonna land on 2, but it's ultimately gonna do nothing. Cloud9 still comfortable, Licorice not gonna be hooked in. He's got Guardian Angel anyway. I don't imagine this set dying anytime soon, as mid's gonna be pushed down. Baron buff still on, Ocean Soul still on. It's time to push now for the base. They're gonna look around and go top lane tier 2 first. They're still crossing T's and dotting I's. They're gonna get the easy parts of the base first, and then go for the inhibitors.
And just to backtrack a little bit, it was confirmed a Dark Matter kill from Nisqy onto WildTurtle in that mid lane team fight. He came out of stopwatch, QW, hit Turtle with both, and it took a 70% health Aphelios to 0. That, to me, is the defining moment in this win where FlyQuest nearly turned it around and could have had control, whereas now C9 has total control of this game. We do know Aphelios and Azir still have incredible damage that has the potential to move through the Ocean Soul. It is just that much more unlikely at this point.
Unlikely is the name of the game right now. Cloud9 likely to push through, but for now, they're going to play a little bit patient. Shove in top, go back to mid. This turret nearly going down. Baron buff still on for about a minute and change, as they're going to shepherd in the wave. The cannon minion will do little bits of chip damage, and one auto attack will knock it down from Zven. So here comes the engage. Stun onto 2. Goodbye to IgNar. Solo is tanky, but he still has to outrun Cloud9, and that will not happen. The dunk is 80% of PoE's health, and Zven does the rest. In for the dive is Blaber, pops the ulti. Here come the emotes, just for good measure. Couldn't catch what they are, but it doesn't matter. The Nexus will fall. FlyQuest made him work for it, but Cloud9 are the better team. They take game 1 of the LCS final.
There's a lot to unpack in just this game 1. 39 minutes is actually a very long game time for Cloud9. You can look at the series score and say this is going completely as expected, but to me, FlyQuest really did show up to play. I think the question for the rest of the series is going to be, what happens if FlyQuest is going to continue to play good early games? Are they tilted after what happened in the manner in which they lost? I mean, think of what happened this game to WildTurtle. Oversteps in mid lane in the mid game to die in a place where FlyQuest could have started to take the game back, and then dies to a dark matter in a game deciding fight. So FlyQuest needs to mentally recover from this, because with those two plays aside, they were really competitive with Cloud9 in game 1.
They were really competitive. The series is certainly competitive, and we'll see if FlyQuest can bounce back, but that does it here for game 1. After a quick break, the state from Analyst says we'll break down that Cloud9 win and look into game 2. Don't go anywhere.
Honda has always believed in the power of dreams and all the amazing things we can achieve together. But right now, we believe in the power of something greater. The power of supporting our neighbors. The power of working together. And the power of being there for those who need it most. Because the way we'll get through this is by remembering to care for each other. And never forgetting the power of dreams.
Welcome back to Cloud9 versus FlyQuest, where the series score currently stands 1-0 in favor of Cloud9, and we've brought Azael in to help us break down that first game of the series. Azael, I'm coming straight to you because it was Jat who, before the break, said the series score at first glance is what people will have expected coming into the day, but that he thinks the way they got there, the way the game one played out, might be counter to what some people have expected. How has the series so far lived up to your expectations of it coming into the day?
It's been pretty far away as far as the way that they got there. Yeah, Cloud9 winning 1-0, I think that is what I expected. But the way in which they got there was very different. Coming into this, there's so much talk about Nisqy and Blaber, top 2 in MVP voting, how aggressive they are, how they love to push the pace of the game. We heard Blaber in his MVP interview talking about how Nisqy is moving around the map, giving up waves for him to collect so that they can make these crazy plays and roams constantly, and then they pick Veigar and Kindred. These are two champions that are much slower paced, that are going to be looking later, towards scaling and team fighting and 5v5 and this sort of style, rather than pushing in waves, looking for 2v2s, constant invades and aggression, and that's what we expected from Cloud9. So this felt like Cloud9 more playing the style of game that FlyQuest is really comfortable with, and I think that's why we had a much closer game, through the first 15-20 minutes, where it did look like it could go either way.
Yeah, you can see just crossing that 20-minute mark is where it appears Cloud9 was able to wrestle control, but you contrast that to regular season and even postseason statistics for Cloud9, where their early gold advantages were astronomical. Crumbs, you were the guy in charge of FlyQuest win conditions. How did you feel they performed here in Game 1, even in the loss?
I think IgNar dropped the ball. IgNar was not playing Blitzcrank as well as he needed to. The first kill on Kindred was good, but there were too many hooks that were necessary that would have gotten you the game. So I really felt like he put a lot of emphasis on his own pick. That's really what you do when you play Blitzcrank, but he didn't deliver. And so because of that lack of execution, I really feel like FlyQuest can feel confident in that, hey, if we just actually clean up our act, we might be able to come up with a win here. And that's the same attitude that's gotten us so many salty runbacks. So I actually think both teams should probably look at this and be like, you want to do this? You want to do this? Let's go.
Of course, we're already entertaining the idea of a salty run back. But for those of you on ESPN, you are going to head to a quick commercial break. We will catch you back here on the other side. Mark, coming to you next on this. Let's continue on with the strategic approach from both of these teams. Azael already called out the Kindred and the Veigar. They're not foreign champions by any mean for this Cloud9 roster, but they're also not the most commonly picked.
No, but I actually want to respond a little bit to something Crumb said first about
absolutely.
And I think he didn't have his best game ever, but I thought he was actually fine. He forced flashes on people. He got them their early kills. I would hope that it was actually other people stepping up. Santorin wasn't as dominant. It was still a close early game, and we've talked a lot about how FlyQuest early game is still one of the best in the league. They've been crushing early games all postseason long. I'm looking at other plays where they could have potentially been more aggressive. Other members, there was a topside push with a Rift Herald where we saw PowerOfEvil and Santorin standing there for like 20 seconds debating whether or not they should go, and then when they finally do, it's not coordinated quite as well. The enemy team's able to back out from under the turret, whereas if PoE went in instantly with the flash Shurima shuffle, pushes them under turret for Santorin, then I think that's a 2v2 win. And those are the kinds of plays I'm looking at where like that's an opportunity to make a bigger play happen, and you need to take those risks versus C9. And so I'm looking, as great as PowerOfEvil was, and he was really good this game, I don't want to say he did anything wrong necessarily. I think they need to take bigger risks for higher rewards.
Azael?
The other thing I would also say is Blitzcrank gets so hard to play the better your opponents are and the further behind you get in the game. So the further you fall behind, the less control of the map you have, the less pockets of actual darkness there are to play from, and your opponents get more and more vision control. As long as you know where Blitz is going to be coming from, it's very easy to play around him. When Blitz is winning and they have darked you out of the entire map and you're having to go check a dragon or you're having to go check, a Baron or something like that, then it becomes so scary because you don't know which angle he's going to be hooking you from. And I do think Cloud9 does such a good job at actually controlling vision, controlling space. And once you are ahead as Cloud9, there's just not a lot of angles that IgNar can really surprise you from, which I think also plays into the Blitzcrank not looking as good as we have seen it look in the past.
Crumbs?
Well, I was thinking about the jungle matchup because Trundle was banned away, and it has been Santorin's best pick. It's kind of an odd one because you are so much about controlling those fights and controlling the tanky members of your team that this is a pick that always gets responded when Santorin doesn't have it with an early game jungler, that if he doesn't succeed on it, it just usually is just weaker in a team fight. So I'd like to see him, if he's not going to get the Trundle, going back to another more utility-focused champion, maybe the Gragas, maybe even the Olaf, which I know was, I think, banned in the second set of bans in this game, but taking it a little bit early so that if he doesn't get that Trundle, he's still having a stronger impact in a fight. Because I think the Pantheon, maybe it was the fact that Veigar just made him look like a fool, but the Pantheon is...
Veigar tends to do that to melee champions.
I was about to say, well, let's talk about those mid laners a little bit more. You already brought up the Veigar, but I think it's one of the biggest ticket matchups we have in this best of 5 here today. Nisqy versus PowerOfEvil. When FlyQuest is hot, a lot of times it seems like it is attached to PowerOfEvil's success. Likewise, where sometimes maybe the numbers aren't as impressive from a solo carry performance for Nisqy, it does seem like he can carry the weight of his entire team on his shoulders at times.
I thought it was really interesting that Cloud9 has faced Azir before this game twice only this split. The first time was their first game against Team Liquid, and he brought out the Veigar then. The second time was against CLG, so I'm not even counting what they drafted against that, because you could have drafted a lot of different things to win that. So I think that if PoE wants to go back to this Azir, Nisqy will respond with Veigar in kind. So if it's banned, I'm thinking FlyQuest wants to put Prio on Azir.
I think, Mark, one of those matchups where both people might walk away a little bit happy, though, because the Azir sometimes just gets slammed by the Veigar post 6, where you can land the cage on him, you can stop his shuffles and all this stuff. PoE was fine for most of the game. They had similar KDAs through most of it. You saw that he was still getting a lot of DPM out, so it wasn't like he was zoned off team fights. I think it's one where the things that FlyQuest needs to clean up didn't really have to do much with the Veigar, but at the same time, C9 might think the same thing. And so, not to push into the salty run back entirely, but at least this matchup might be one that we see a little bit more on in the series before it really breaks one way or the other.
All right, well, maybe that won't be the thing that changes. Azale, what would be the thing to change as we welcome back our ESPN audience, just discussing FlyQuest strategy heading into Game 2 to hopefully push the series score to 1-1? Azale?
I honestly don't think that FlyQuest, if I'm FlyQuest, I don't think you really need to change a lot from that game as far as the draft. I think that they are more comfortable playing that style. And if you can actually keep Nisqy on a Veigar, I'd rather see Nisqy on the Veigar than the Zoe or something that's going to be more active early on in the game, running around the map, killing everyone, or even like Talia or something. I would rather see Blaber playing Kindred than have him on Lee Sin or Gragas chain killing all your lanes before anything happens, right? This is the kind of game that I'm watching this game, and if I'm FlyQuest coaching, I'm saying if we play a little bit better in a couple of these mid-game team fights around 20 minutes, that's a totally winnable game because they had great Baron damage. If you win a mid-game team fight with Azir, you just take the Baron and maybe that game is yours. So I did not think that this was some insurmountable game. I think FlyQuest are comfortable playing that slower playstyle. And if I'm them, I want to keep Cloud9 doing the same thing because Cloud9 excels when the game is fast.
All right, well, news for you. Side selection has been handed to me. FlyQuest choosing red side. So we are set up for the salty run back if we want it. Not if we want it, if they want it, really.
I think we'll see a little change. I totally agree with what Crumb said earlier about just changing up the jungle pick a little bit. Santorin has been really good about finding the right plays in the early game, even when not on specifically early game champions like the Trundle. And so if you want to push for, like, I don't think you go Nocturne because that's a little bit too weak in the early game, but something that like the Gragas he's saying and these other things that continue to play later, as well as the Aphelios is really strong, and it's hard to not want to pick an Aphelios, but Turtle's not going to be getting much help for peeling and stuff, and the Sett was running at him the whole game. He kept getting dunked, and you had the Nisqy cage as well that made it hard to get in there. A champion with a little bit more survivability might help, but it's really hard to pass. You don't want to take a mage. Xayah Rakan is obviously not going to be an option. I don't know if you want to pair Xayah with another marksman, or excuse me, a support. But that is a champion that will deal better with something charging at her face. I don't think you want to go Ezreal, but then you start getting pretty far down the list.
Well, FlyQuest has pushed Cloud9 already further than most teams have been capable of doing. A 39-minute game is quite the game time for Cloud9, but FlyQuest still searching for the last piece of the equation to take down the top dog. 1-0 stands the series score with Cloud9 out in front. After this short break, we return to this series for Game 2, so don't go anywhere.
For now, we're all living a new normal. Businesses are closing. Living rooms are now offices and schools. Our world is suddenly different, but one thing stays the same. State Farm is there. To any of our customers currently facing financial burdens, call your State Farm agent because we're here to help make this new normal feel just a little more normal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.